welcome to anyone who is watching the replay and to anyone coming in live. I'm just waiting for the room to fill up a little bit or for a few people and to see where I am. And of course, I'm looking at my phone. It is the middle of the day here in Alberta, so it's these are the times of days that I used to be able to come into live. Hello, Michelle and Natalie. Hello. So I'm just checking in. I just wanted to stop in. I'm recording today. Today's a recording day. And so I'm recording, plus I have clients later. But I did want to stop in. I want to check in. I was watching and observing our world. Thanks, Michelle. Watching and observing the world. So that's where I've been. But I want to check in. I don't know why, but I felt the need to come in. So anyway, I'm here. And I want to stop in, talk about the energy, talk about the things that is, what we're experiencing right now, what you may be experiencing right now, feeling the heavy energy, feeling the shifts, feeling that sense of what the world has happening all the way around us, the divides, the separation. I myself have found myself, and I don't often do this, but not in having people have a difference of opinion, but in how grown adults are such awful bullies to each other, how the name calling. So I found myself today, in the past few days, not unfriending people, but unfollowing their posts so that I don't see their comments. I don't see their videos come up. I don't see their opinions come up. I don't see how they're calling other people horrible names because they have a difference of opinions and views. And so that energy is out there, and wanting to stay out of that and be clear of that is, you gotta clean your own space sometimes. You got to clean your own space, and you got to make sure that you keep those spaces that is yours clean and clear, and what is not serving your highest good, you have a right to kind of push it aside. So in my personal page, I have like 1,800 friends or more in just my personal page. And I'm like, most of those people, like a lot of those people and the comments, I can just easily just go, I don't have to respond. I don't have to take it personally. I just don't have to see it. And so when I see grown adults act like bullies and using like very undignified words and having, clumping people together under this, associating everyone in one group or whatever it may be. And often it comes from people who don't step out into the world at all and open their minds. And so, I've been doing that. I suggest you do the same thing in your Facebook, in your group. Really, truly clear your energy, clear that up. Bring more positive in. Exactly, right, Tracy? And so, we do need more positivity. We need more. And so I've been really trying to not use the terms positive and negative. What I've been doing is really, truly working on the emphasis of pleasant and unpleasant, or not giving the feelings word, like not giving what it feels like a word that then has a story. Because many feelings within us tie back to one emotion, but the moment we give it like it's negative or it's positive, then it all clumps together, right? And so this doesn't feel pleasant for me. And so there is a lot of energy out there right now. There's a lot of things happening right now, and I'm letting if you're used to being in here, you know what I'm doing. I'm waiting for this energy and picking up this energy as everybody is coming in and joining in. So hello, everyone who's coming. You've done the same the last few weeks. Yeah, not unfriending, because I don't want to unfriend people. It's got nothing to do with that. But I don't have to follow through the conversations. I don't need to. I don't have to, right? Hello, Marlene and Tracy and Marianne and Clayton and Michelle I said hello to, and Rhonda, hi, and China Vlogs, hi. And Natalie, I think I said hi to you as well. Hello. So, yes, exactly. Snooze them. You can snooze them for a while. Clean up. So today's energy is pretty obvious. We have a lot of obvious energy. With the attacks upon Ukraine today, and this is unacceptable. I'm not into the politics. I'm not into that stuff. I just know what's wrong. I have friends who are from the Ukraine, and all of their families in the Ukraine, and witnessing and watching their sadness and their tears in their eyes and the fright. They're afraid, and with every right to be afraid. This is not false fear. With every right to be afraid of what is to come. I'm witnessing friends, personal friends of mine, who are sitting back helplessly and watching their families, their friends be under attack today. And so, this energy is real, and we can't discount it. We can't, it's one thing to live in our sunshine and butterflies world, but there is a real world that does exist. There's real stuff that is happening, and there's real energy, and there's real hurt, and there's real pain. But there's many stories and many things that really need, and I posted this yesterday in my channel message, but then I pulled my channel message, and I only pulled it for one reason, and I'll tell you that in a minute. But as I said yesterday, this is what we need the most in the world. Is we need emotional and spiritual maturity to happen in the places where we should be seeing true leadership. And we need that to really, truly happen. And we need it to happen now. We need them to build bridges, put their differences aside, and come together to work as a team, and do whatever we can to restore this dignity to humanity that we really need. And it starts by how our leaders talk about the everyday people, talk about their opposition, talk about each other. We need that sense of respect and integrity to return. We need it. We also need it because we are leaders of the children. We are, we're not dictators of them, but we are those that are guiding the younger generations up and through. And if we are bullying, and we're talking awful bullying language in our conversations at home, in our videos, in our talks, and all of that places, kids see it, they witness it, and they need us to spiritually and emotionally be mature enough to be adults, to allow them to feel as if they have a sense of hope and faith, and not to be another repeat of this very unpleasant place that has been existing all the way around us. To be at peace with ourselves, to be at peace in our hearts, to be at peace and make peace with the past, with where we have been, to bridge these gaps that we have created, to get out of those narratives of our emotional connection to these stories that we've told ourselves about how friends and families have become such enemies, of shutting and closing our doors to people who don't agree with you or don't follow the same. We need to stop that. We need it in religious, in religion and in spirituality, in any area where we have the opportunity to stand up to be a voice. We need to be a voice of love and light and inspiration. We need to be a voice of hope, and we need to be emotionally and spiritually mature. We need that intellect of emotional intellect to be truly connecting us to the higher self, to do the right things for the right reasons, not to let any ego stand in the way. What we're watching in Ukraine right now is a big ass ego trip, and to witness these things. And how did this happen? How did we get here? Because the places that should have been in their superpower, who should have been paying attention to the right things and doing the right things for the right reasons, all have lost their sense of living from that super ego, doing the right things for the right reasons. And instead, it's been the motive that has blended business and personal and childhood issues, everything all into one. And there's so much more that needs to be explored, and so much more that needs to be looked at. There's a lot of changes that need to happen, and we need to be able to stand up with voices of love. The moment I read somebody's message that then calls somebody else like a horrible, awful name, or it's belittling, and it's not an open-minded in some way of, I disconnect, because I can see the ego, and I can see the divide that it's trying to cause, and I can see the separation, and I've worked too hard to step into being the healed healer, to allow myself to lose my own sense of dignity and self-respect, to allow myself to believe that I can accept that from adults. And so from those who look like adults, we need to actually mature into full adults. And we need that we need that worldwide right now. And we need it big time. We are struggling as a society, we're struggling as a world. People are struggling to stay here, to stay alive, to stay with us. We're in a pivotal turning point in our lives, in our world, where we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to be better. We have an opportunity to do better. We have an opportunity to be those voices, to be that sense of self, and to not be so judgmental. Everyone of those that are out there trying to do the best that they can, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows how to show up. But it's so funny. And I heard a great statement yesterday, a great kind of comeback to somebody who was judging, and not taking sides in any of this, but judging, the convoy and that experience. And then somebody else said, well, but were you not out on strike? And they said, yeah, but it didn't affect people. And I said, yes, it did. You shut down all services because you went on strike over pay. So it was still personal. It was still, but we stood by you, and we understood why you were doing it, and we give you that support to do it. It's the same thing, but in a different story. If it's not impacting you, or if you're not feeling the impact the same way, then you don't think that it's such a big, you don't see the why to it. But somebody else's heart knows their whys. And so when we look at these situations that we're in, and we look at how did we get to those points that those whys get to such desperation, and why do we reach that place of desperation within us? Who's not listening? Who's not listening? Who needs to listen? Who needs to open their minds and their hearts and to be able to come together? And so while we're busy in those other things, those big things that happen in the world slip underneath our nose. And so when we don't want to see and we don't want to know what's happening in the world, then we're blindsided by it when it does happen. And so it really is important for us right now to really look in our own houses, in our own homes, in our own hearts, in our own minds. What thoughts are we feeding ourselves? What are we feeding into? What have we got in our own closets? Really, truly, and I've been saying this from the day one of all of this, I called this war way back when COVID first hit. I was in the bathtub and I seen Archangel Michael land in the road, and I said, we are about to go through something catastrophic, but then there's about to be a war. And I've seen soldiers, and I've seen people, and I've seen bombing. And I said, it's going to be in 2 years. So the reason why I took down my channeled message of this week is because for weeks and weeks and weeks, I keep calling this year a leap year. It is not a leap year. I know it's not a leap year, but every time I go to talk, it talks about a leap year. And I'm like, listen, I know leap years have 29 days. Where is this coming in? And so, yes, I do see so many things. And so what I am seeing is I'm seeing 2 years from now. I keep seeing everything 2 years ahead. So now I'm seeing 2 years ahead. I'm seeing in February 2024, the leap year, and I'm seeing the leap year energy, and I'm seeing what's happening. And that's it's going to be until 2024 before we do a bounce. And that's where the energy bounces. That's where we shift. A big shift happens, a big, big shift. And right now we get fed this narrative and this story that, we're in the golden age. This is the age everybody's going to awaken and everybody's going to be this. No, they're not. Not everybody's going to awaken to a new story, to a new truth. The world will always have light and dark. The world will always have humans being human. The world will always have people that will not be connected to that spiritual. It'll always have people in competition. It'll always have people in ego. We'll always have people in that. But what we do within our own selves, what we do in our own lives is what brings the change. So in my channeled messages, I keep talking about 2 years down the road. So my messages are 2 years down the road. So I'm like, I have to pull this message until I can add it and slice it together with another one so that I can explain why I'm talking about a leap year. Because I'm 2 years ahead. And so in between that and where we are, don't anyone click on that link from YouTube that comes up from this Baz something. That's porn. Don't touch it. And so, because this is on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And so we are at a critical turning point within our own lives that if you are aware of the shifts and changes that are happening in you, and that you can feel yourself changing, you can feel yourself evolving, you can feel yourself feeling better, you can feel yourself being in this energy, then, put your focus into that. Put your focus into stepping in. Put yourself focus into stepping into a new sense of the body, not living in the pain, not living in la la land of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube that is all about following all these paths, but really truly follow your community, follow your people. That beautiful friend of mine, she's a neighbor that lived next to me for several years. I'm following her page, and I'm following her and sending prayers to her because I know she's speaking what she knows from her own family. There's that connection. Anything media is going to show you is going to be showing you what it is happening. Get to know the people in your community. Get to know the people who are the ones that are being impacted and affected by different things, and ask them how it's impacting them, how they're affected. And that's a big part about spiritual awakening, about opening our hearts and our minds to others, not being so quick to believe what we read, what we see, what we hear, and not to accept it as all the truth. We get fed so much, and there's so many things that are unfolding around us, and acknowledging that. And so if we have the next few years to start to be able to bring in light and love into the world, I'm choosing and making a choice that I'm going to step into a joy body, into even though we don't even know what joy and happiness really is if you've never really experienced it, but step into this play. I want to feel the pleasant. I want to wake pleasant. I want to feel pleasant. I want to live pleasant, because the other way in that pain body, I don't know how I'm still here, right? You just don't know. It's just the struggles have been really real, and the struggles are really real for a lot of people. And not everybody can see beyond that pain or that hurt. Not everybody can make it through. And so we're here now with this opportunity to be something different. We need to learn the power of kindness. We need to bridge that anger, that frustration, that fear, that divide that has been placed amongst us. And we need to come together. We really do. And we need to mature beyond the hurts, the pains, the stories. We need to make peace with the past, and we need to look at what's right here in front of us right now. And this is not ignoring or neglecting to see what is happening, because what is happening is real. What is happening changes our lives. What is happening changes the world. What is happening right now speaks volumes to what happens when we allow dictatorship and that one way, making everybody have to be one way, see things one way, live one way. That's what happens. And that is not the world that I see us living in. So I hope somehow that this message sits in your heart, and that you bring in the light into you. How can I be productive today in providing love and light in the world? How can I be that in my own self? How can I bring that into my own world? How can I create that in my own space? How can I live that within my own life? And so, taking off the smoke and mirrors of illusions, let's start there. I was recording this morning, and I had the virtual backgrounds up, covering up the day bed and my Reiki cow and the cat house. And, it's like, oh, I'm recording with this thing on. And then, I go to pull the card in, and then the card disappears into the screen, or I move and there's an opening like a portal. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit, because it's fake. It is not real. It's like you're trying to mask and hide what's really happening in your space. This is the house that I really live in. This is the space I really work from. This is supposed to be my office. This is my writing. It's a day bed. So guests can sleep there, but it's going to be Sadie's bed is moving again. But this is where I sit to write. This is where I sit and just meditate. This is where the cat eats, because the cat likes to look out the window. This is, this is my paintings over here that I've been painting, not the big Buddha. I'm not that good. So it's like, this is my imperfection. This is my life. Let your imperfection out. Let your vulnerability out. Live from your heart. Live from that place. And the card that we bring up is forever yearning. And forever yearning is truly in that phases and that cycle. So it's like, we just get through one and then we want something else. We're always waiting for something, always wanting something. What are you forever yearning for? And most things that people are forever yearning for is something in the world. Like, I'll be happy when this happens in the world. I'll be content when this happens. I'll be at peace when this happens. Why are you always waiting? Or why are we always waiting for this to happen in order for you to have this? Why does this outside in the material world dictate what is happening within you? The one thing that we don't want is to be controlled. And we don't want to be, we don't want to be owned by the outside world. But what you don't realize is as long as you're waiting for that world or the things out there to become better, then you're always being controlled and always being dictated to by the determination of what is happening inside of you. And that means that leaves you always forever yearning, because even when that world gives you what you think you want, it'll be so temporary that then you'll find the next thing. You'll keep finding and seeking the next thing to return to the story, to return to the misery, to return to complaining, to return to the unhappiness, to return about what somebody else is doing to you again, about how, the government is what they are, by how people are what they are, and you will be constantly returning, because what you're doing is you are feeding the thoughts into the pain, into the anger, into the fear, and you got to keep feeding those monsters. You got to keep feeding those vampires. And as long as you keep feeding that within yourself and giving it what it needs, you can never ever draw it out. It'll always be sucking and pulling you into that sense of that darkness. Finding that sense of ourselves is sorting, organizing, deactivating that thought process and being able to come out, empty out the subconscious as much as you can of those thoughts that have such ownership over you, and start feeding, nurturing into the next body, which is like a joy, contentment, peace, happiness. And when you start to find that, is that, what am I thirsty for? What am I hungry for? If I'm out fighting with everybody who I don't even fucking know in social media, being a keyboard warrior, what am I fighting for? And who am I fighting for? And what is this feeding within myself? Because it's feeding the anger, it's feeding the fear, it's feeding the right, is that, that sense of validation that you're seeking and searching, which you're never going to get. So forever yearning is telling us that it is time for us in like with a full moon, when a full moon comes, it shines a light upon the shadow essence of ourselves. It shines a light upon that piece of us, that part of us that is there. Who, it's not that you're never getting rid of the shadow. It has a purpose. You're never getting rid of that dark aspects of yourself. It has a why and a purpose when used in connection to a healthy whole self. But you draw it out, you pull it out, and you recognize what is happening is that this is protection. And you're always trying to feed that sense of I'm not safe, I'm not happy, I'm miserable. I have, so you always find something to complain about. You always find something to be angry about. You'll always find, and as long as that's happening, you'll always see it. You see it a lot of times in communities or groups where everything is what we call stagnant energy. Stagnant energy means nothing ever changes. Nothing, and so it feeds negativity. It feeds what people call negative energy. I'm going to call it a lower vibrating energy because it feeds the emotions. Those that say, I can never go anywhere because I don't have this, I can never be this. And misery loves company. So then misery finds more company, and then more company, and more company. And then on the opposite end of that, on the other side of that, when there's a more nourished, a more replenished, a more sense of realignment energy, well, they call that positive energy. And so then It is like inspiration, inspired, seeking and searching out new ways to do things. You very much then know you'll never solve you'll never solve a problem in the problem. The only way to solve a problem is to get into a position, into a place of a solution. So when you find those people that all sit around a table drinking their coffee, all complaining about what the hell's wrong in the world, and they got all these brilliant ideas about fixing the world, about changing the world, about how people should be, about how people should behave. First of all, look at what they're actually doing with their lives. Look at how much they've done with their lives. And I don't mean in success and career. I mean, what are they doing? What are you doing to be the change? You're so good at telling somebody else what to do and judging somebody else, but what do you do? And so what are you doing to be the change that you need to see in this world? And that's where accountability and responsibility comes in. So you want to be that sense of being replenished, restored. You come into a place of this higher vibrating energy, thinking from the higher self, allowing that higher self to really truly speak this volumes. Is you see solutions because you start trying to discover and find ways, and you're taking steps and actions into moving and shifting and being that change in ways that you can. Even if you're limited, you can step up and help somebody else feel inspired today. You can do little things. We can do the little things that are here to be able to help us in any way that we possibly can. But as long as you're forever yearning, forever questing, forever thirsty, forever hungry for something outside of yourself to feed you, you forget that you have a whole ocean inside. You've got a whole river. You've got a whole universe. You've got everything that you need within you. You have to find it. And you have to come home to that. And that's the biggest thing. And so, when a big reason why you're really seeing me move from doing individual sessions and being more of a mentor and stepping up into coaching is because it's time for me to shift again. Because to be those solutions is if I can step into a big group and a big crowd and teach in a group and give guidance. It's one thing to receive a message. It's one thing to get this one message, but what are you doing about it? And what are you going to do about it? So it's about being able to step into a place of where I watch and watch, or where I can see action taking place. And that includes my own growth, my own development. And that includes yours. Where are you taking action steps towards stop waiting for the world and coming into you and gathering into that space within you? And when you can start to do that within you, you stop forever yearning from that world and you yearn for more of what we call the white light, the golden rays, that spiritual connection. So from this place, I have such a yearning, such a desire for this more of what is out there, not working in the human energy, but working in the spiritual energy, working with spirit, working with the guides, working with that holy realm that's out there. And being present with that and just knowing that place that doesn't have that same pull down, but pull up, right? It rises us up to be connected in that place and be right there. That's where it matters the most. That's where we can find solutions. That's where the greatest wisdom is. Right there. Right there. And then we pull a master number. And so becoming the master of our own lives is the power of waking up every day like you know nothing. That's one of the most beautiful things in the world, is not waking up with a whole lot of thoughts in your head and just saying, this is what got to be, or this is what I know, this is what is right, and you don't have such conviction to what is right and what is wrong. You've now opened up a space to what is possible. I'm curious. Tell me more. I'm curious. Tell me more. And so this is temptation and it is unity. And we're always so tempted to kind of break away, to run away. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go do everything on my own. I'm going to take this journey all by myself. Well, we're never really ever alone. And that's the illusions of truth, that we're forever connected to source. And we have what we call this plat. We have this silver cord that attaches us to source. We're forever created. We're forever connected until you take that last breath and you unplug. And then the human goes and the soul stays. right? The soul leaves and does its thing, and the human body has done its journey. And so when we're forever yearning to find that, this is who I am, and then, then you also then feel like, you got to be so tied to the human connection that we forget that there's so much more to us, and we forget to live. So my more than existing work is more than existing. It is about more than just existing. And so that just existing is always just existing in that lower energy. It's existing in that place of feeling like you only have this human one-dimensional world that is here for us, and that's what's working for us. We're so much more than that. We are so much more than that. And we are connected to so much more than that. There's so much more that is happening for us, through us, and there's just a whole unlimited source of wisdom out there for us, of light, of healing light, of that love energy that is there to help guide us through. It really is. But it lets us be able to step away from the stories we create in our mind and allow us to receive the wisdom of the unknown. And so the alchemy of life is to be not to become larger than life, but to discover the greatness that is within us, to find that, to become small, to become empty, to know that you're filled with light and filled with love. And it's amazing. It's amazing when you start to recognize that and you start to take that journey within you. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. Oh, thank you, everybody. I was channeling, right? I was channeling. I can't even read comments when I'm channeling. It's coming from, Let me go back up. Let me read a few comments right now. Tracy, I always thought it didn't faze me if I didn't engage with it, but just seeing it and showing, yes, just by seeing it and feeling that and that energy. So it's like, oh, that doesn't bother me. But if you're thinking about it, if you think about it and you get that feeling like any moment after, then it is impacting you. It's having some impact. Like it just I could feel that love anger inside of me, that innate anger. So I could feel the true emotion of how to be this person and how far I've come in my own journey, and how I would have done this my own self probably a few years down the road, or a few years ago, that when I see somebody make a statement about people, and one of the comments was like, oh, those rednecks. And I'm like, and instantly I'm just like, I'm not even going to respond, because you want to respond, right? You're like, you just want to say something. I'm like, well, maybe the world might call me one of them, right? And I'm like, and these are supposed to be, and these are the same people who have friends that are under this world, that under that place of what they are now judging. How much better do you fucking think you are when you make those accusations to belittle and to make jokes, or to call somebody else dumb, stupid, ignorant, for having a difference of opinion, or the way they see it, or their lives are impacted and affected by things differently than yours is. It is a total lack of dignity, of respect, and it is horrible to see. So why would I want to witness it? Why would I want to? And so what you're doing is you're not allowing yourself to become a part of it. You're not okaying it in any way, but you're not judging for where they are. You're just saying, I know that to be so wrong. So why would I even want to keep seeing it go through my post? It's wrong. It's just outright wrong. Right. And it's not healthy, but most people are not going to be awakened to it because they don't know it. They don't see it. But when they're on the other side of it and it hurts, then they see it, but they still can't see what they did when they did it. Right. And so only when it impacts in the hurt and the pain in your own self will you feel it. And so that's what happens to us. So yeah. So Tracy, clear that shit out. So Jenna, I hope this helped you about speaking about, about how you create that space. Like, we can't look into the world and let it, we need lights in the world. We need to be the bright lights, right? We need to keep the light on. For those that remember a few years back, I would always say this: we have to be the light and the strength for those that don't have the strength and the light today. So where we can be it, let's be it. Where we can be that inspiration, where we can be that light, where we can hold the line, where we can hold the space, where we can hold that energy for people today. Let's get up and let's do it. Let's, because what is happening within you, and by feeling what's happening in the world, is that, to judge it, not to let it, it is happening and it's out of our control. But what's in my control today? What can I do today? I can get up. I can go to the store and buy some fresh flowers. I can bring them to a neighbor. I can go to the store and just open a door for somebody, and I can say hello to people. I can be that light in whatever way that we possibly can to bring hope into people, to restore faith in humanity in the many ways that we actually can. New relationship with yourself. Yes, exactly, Brenda. That's exactly what we're doing. Because first of all, what you got to recognize as you come into a new relationship with yourself, you don't know you. You don't know this version of you because you've been living with the shadow for so long. You've been living with the program, the conditioned you, the person you thought you had to be, the roles that you played, the personas that you created. You become that. I'm not actually pulling cards for anyone. I'm reading the collective energy today. Leah, I've actually got my candle going. I've got my candle lit and my prayer circle has started. So yes, I'll put you in my prayer circle. And this message, when I speak, this is healing energy, that vibrational energy that's coming through me that helps our hearts. And so this, you are in that prayer circle today. I have your heart. I seen your comment come up. Oh, there's so many hurting hearts right now. And same with you, Glenda. Same with you. And just everybody, it's just, I've opened up this flame. I've called in the violet flame. I've opened up the white flame. And I've come into this place, and I spent a long time in the power of prayers this morning and sending in those prayers and putting those prayers out there today. And it's like, I can't take away the grief in any way for people, but just being able to provide, light, and to let the light to carry you today, to let the divine carry you today, to let the divine hold you today, to let you find that divine in your own space. Sometimes it's just to be able to breathe. And when we can just be able to breathe, just catch that breath, sit back, hold your own heart, and just close your eyes. And when you do, you're going to feel that, you can feel that white light flame just like flowing through. And it just helps lessen the load. It helps take out some of that heaviness that is sitting right there, and just leaving space for love to sit. Just letting yourself be loved today. Letting yourself be loved by the divine. I would say the divine mother and father energy is always with us. Always. Oh, Glenda, my heart hurts, but I can tell you that there's always a spark. And sometimes that spark is in knowing that spirit is with us. That spirit is with us. That when souls return home, that they become like those white lights. They become that white flame. They become that light that is illuminating. And they become that strength and that courage that we don't know we have. And it sits. I got my microphone all the way over there. I'm talking to a microphone that's all the way over there, guys. And so we got this sense of, how do I put this? this softness. That when you learn, when you can let yourself rise up in your own energy, you rise up to spirit, and those loved ones who return home, they become that spirit, they become that essence, they become that light that come in and they sit into the parts of our heart or into that sense of ourself where we don't know, we don't think that we have, that we don't think we have the strength, we don't have the courage, we don't have, but that is so innately within us. And the spirit, the soul self, just like that spirit sits with you and provides for you the strength that you didn't know you had today. And it gives you the love. And so when you hold your hand to your heart, you feel the love. And that love is so unconditional, so unjudgmental. And it sits so dear into our hearts that it allows us to feel and to let ourselves to be able to just feel and to have compassion for yourself. Have compassion for where you are today. And just say, I'm acknowledging where I am. I'm acknowledging this journey. I'm acknowledging where I am. And the card that comes out with that is feed the light. And as we feed the light, we see these beautiful, behind these beams is this beautiful essence of our spirit guides looking in, our guardians that are always there, and they're always watering us. So when we think we're thirsty, we're parched, we're deprived, we're dehydrated of love and light, of energy, is that they're always feeding back into us. We just have to open our hearts to receiving and letting ourselves receive this love and light that is coming in. And I hope in some way that does help you today. I mean, I didn't come in here by accident. I didn't know why I needed to be here. You are not here by accident. It's also that you can sit in the power of the divine, sit in the power of that Christ consciousness, that God consciousness, source consciousness, creator, whatever it may be, that allows us to be fueled and powered up with this beautiful white light energy that flows through to bring in that healing. And then the final card is that journey of the creator of worlds, and that is the enchanted alchemist, that we are the creator of our own worlds, and that our lives are an alchemy. They're a book that we go chapter to chapter, and each new chapter is a blank page, and it gives us the opportunity to create. And you're the bookmark. Wherever you lay, that's wherever your bookmark are, wherever you land right here, right now. And that's written very much in one of my books that's coming out about being the bookmark. And so wherever you are, well, this is now your invocation. Our lowest moments can be our most defining moments in our lives. What breaks our heart open, what breaks a closed heart open, it breaks open, and it's not then about you opening. It's about the fact that light is illuminating, light is shining in and illuminating these parts within us that opens up other parts of us that we didn't even know we even had. And so what is coming in and what is feeding through, and as we take this journey through life, is that we know that each and every moment gives us the opportunity to live, and to live for those who didn't get the opportunity to live, for those to be the light today, to be that within ourselves, but to also allow ourselves the grace to show yourself mercy, to return to that state of grace means that you can sit back with your own heart and just say, I'm going to be kind to me today. I'm going to nurture this hurting heart of mine today. I'm not going to try fighting it. I'm not going to be angry at it. I'm going to sit with it, and I'm going to allow myself to feel for myself today, to have compassion for myself, to be present. And that's not pity. That's a knowing that you're hurting, and that to heal the hurt, to heal through the hurt, is knowing that, it's finding that sense of how will I, of allowing yourself to slowly go through the process of becoming on the other side and living with the story that will now be a part of one of the chapters in your book and a part of you. And you ask yourself the powerful questions, right? It's like, what do I have the energy for today? What do I have the gas in my tank for today? If it's just to take a breath today, then it's just to breathe, and just breathe. And then maybe you got the energy to do something else. Baby steps, small steps, one thing at a time, one moment at a time. But each moment that you're making a choice to do those things, you're really truly living. You're not just existing, you're living, because you're putting in that you're putting in that light and that energy into creating your moments. So start creating those moments. And I hope somehow that helps. So I want to thank you all for being here today. And the candle will stay lit all day. I do have to go. I have a client. And yes, Beth, I seen that you are booked with me 2 days before your birthday. Oh, how exciting. Yay. I seen you have an appointment. And I am still taking clients until the end of March, but I am gone. I'm next week. I am in, where am I next week? So next week I'm in Drift Pile. I'm talking at a women's event in Drift Pile on the 3rd. And then I am on the 4th, I'm in Slave Lake. I'm working from the source there. And that one is booked. And then I come back, and then I'm back in Edmonton working on the end of the last week of March. I'm actually teaching in Edmonton, teaching healing. And so, yeah, so I only got a few weeks in between there where I am available, and there's very, very limited spaces available right now. And then after that, I'm going to be stepping into just being that mentor and doing the work in the way that I feel that God is calling me to take a path and a journey. So I have to trust that. But much more lives. And I will be making another live for YouTube and putting up that really truly shows I'm not really losing my mind. I am picking up the leap year 2 years down the road. That's where I am. The energy I'm picking up is 2 years from now. And so, yeah, just kind of be the light where you can today. Be that inspiration. Don't be waiting for this world out here to create what you need to create in here, or else you'll always be unhappy, dissatisfied, resentful, angry, frustrated, all of those things. That we clear those and we make space for the good emotions, for the good feelings, to be able to feel that enthusiasm, that sense of joy and hope and faith being restored within us. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye. I'll be back soon. Then I'll be pulling.